Hello, this is Jason P. Wilson 01 X-Force, and this is my DC, Marvel, and Image comic pull list for the week of December 14th, 2011, and today is the 20th, and it is a Tuesday, the Tuesday before of this week's comics. So, last week's comics were really good. I really enjoyed all of them, especially the DC, so we're going to start with DC. And we're going to start with Batwoman number 4. Batwoman number 4 was absolutely phenomenal. It's everything that's been building up to this point, but the stuff that's executed in this issue is just fantastic. Not only is the story really engaging, but like I've said many times, the artwork is just absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I just can't say it enough. For those of you who are not reading Batwoman right now, you need to go and get back issues and start reading it. If you miss too many more, you might want to go ahead and wait and get the trade when it comes out. This will be a really popular trade. This comic already has a lot of buzz. Just like the hardcover and trade-back issues of Batman the Black Mirror, those sell really fast. So it's going to be the same for this one. This is really an awesome comic book, and if you are a comic fan, you need to be reading this. And next up here is Batgirl number 4. Batgirl was kind of slow for me. It wasn't like red hot out of the gate the same way Batwoman was. Batgirl I thought started off really strong. It then kind of got just okay. The writing by Simone is good. It's nowhere near the level that I think Williams and Blackman are doing with Batwoman, but I still have good hopes for this. I think that Simone's writing is solid. I think the artwork fits her style very well. It just hasn't, I don't know. I would say the last 2 issues, I felt like, okay, this needs to pick up. This needs to get going. I think at number 4, they're trying to get going now. I think they lost their momentum. So it's still a good comic, but if it doesn't like get better, I don't know how long I'll stay on. And this is coming from a big Batgirl fan. I loved the last volume of Batgirl, and I really like Barbara Gordon. I was excited about her being Batgirl again, even though I was missing, the Batgirl from before. But still, I don't know. Stephanie Brown was such a great character, and she was written so well. No matter what team was handling her. And here, Barbara Gordon, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, I could say maybe they're trying too hard and it's just not coming across naturally. That possibly could be it. But I still have high hopes, and I'm going to stick on here and hope that Batgirl gets better. Again, number 4 is not a bad issue. Had good artwork. It had, a good tale up to this point. But I just think this first story arc just hasn't come together like I wanted it to. But hopefully it will, the next couple comics, really just pull together and make the whole thing great. Speaking of great, Batman and Robin number 4 is great. This, with the exception of the beauty that is in Batgirl number 4, in every other way, Batman and Robin number 4 is just as good. Storytelling is great. This is a fantastic cover, by the way. Love this cover. So this story arc, this first story arc of Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne together, has been everything I wanted it to be. And then when I wasn't sure where it was going at one point, then it goes in this fantastic direction. And this comic, number 4, is the best one so far, this story arc. Great artwork, great storytelling, and when I got done with this comic, I could not wait to get number 5. It's that good. Batman and Robin, super great. If you have even a passing interest in reading this comic, jump on now. Definitely get number 4. I would say at least get the last 2 issues. My DCs have been phenomenal this week. Those are my DCs for last week. Excuse me. Those are my DCs for last week, and there was only 3 of them, but well, except for Batgirl, Batwoman and Batman and Robin were definitely some of my favorite comics that I read. Now let's keep the ball of excellence rolling with my Marvel comics. And here it is. The conclusion to the Dark Angel saga from X-Force, number 18. Now, this particular, don't want to show the cover because the cover really kind of shows some stuff. So, I figured I don't want to spoil it for anybody. You might be able to figure it out by looking at the cover. But regardless, I thought it'd be best to show it the way that I picked it up. This was a great comic book from a great series on a great chapter. This conclusion is everything you want a red-hot comic done by this great team that's been doing Uncanny X-Force. Everything you want in a conclusion. The build-up to this was just really big. I mean, it was a huge build-up, and the story just kept on going and going and going and going. The artwork, the storytelling, everything was just, the pace was great. But it wasn't too short. Like, it just kept on going and going, and you wanted more. It was one of those series that you're not like, let's hurry up and get to the end, come on. It was like, no, give me more, draw this out a little bit longer. And they did, and then at the right time, slam, they give you the conclusion. And I believe tomorrow I pick up the Aftermath, so, I mean, that's fast. That's real fast. 2 X-Forces in 2 weeks. They haven't done that before. So this was a great conclusion. For those of you that I've seen this a lot, but for those of you who are not reading Uncanny X-Force, you need to be. Just like Batwoman, I think the must-reads of DC, and there are a few, but one of the number 1 must-reads is definitely Batwoman. On the Marvel side, this is definitely one of the best must-read comics of Marvel. Uncanny X-Force has been great. It's definitely my favorite Marvel book, though there are a lot of them that I like. I would say that it's tied with my favorite comics that I get from DC, and DC usually is my favorite. So, great comic, great conclusion, and it's just fantastic. Next for my Marvels is Defenders number 1. Now, this actually came out, the week before, but I had missed it, and I thought they didn't have any more left, so now I went back to pick it up. I heard so many great things about the Defenders. I wanted to pick up the Defenders. I thought I was going to be putting my my comic pull list, but it wasn't there, and I didn't see any, so I went back, and he had one, so I was really excited about that. Heard so many good things about it, and I was anticipating this title. And I have to say, what I heard about issue number 1, it's all true. It was a really good, strong start. First of all, you have characters that we all know, but they're changed quite a bit from the events of Fear itself. They have their new powers and their new weapons. So it's really cool to see all those people on a team together. I think it's really cool that the power change that happened to Silver Surfer. And I really like what's going on with all these characters, but especially Red She-Hulk and Doctor Strange and Iron Fist. So I really thought this was a great start. And I'm not looking to add more comics to my pull list, but this is going to be one of them I do. And next up is number 2 of Magneto, Not a Hero. I thought it was a very strong start with the first issue. This is a limited series, it's only 4, and that can be good or bad. Usually I think the 3s, the limited series that are 3 issues, are barely worth reading almost all the time. The ones that are the best that seem to be the 6, 8, or more, the really long series, they seem to put a lot more into those projects. So with this being only 4 issues, I wasn't really sure where it was going to go. But after reading the first 2 issues, I thought the first one's really good. But, I was like, well, it's only 4 issues. What are they going to do with this? But here, we're halfway through now. And it's a very strong limited series. Now, it's not quite at the level that the Red Skull Incarnate was. But it's still a really interesting tale of Magneto. In fact, I almost didn't pick it up, but now that I've read 2 issues, I'm really glad I did. I think that if you're into the X-Books, it's a must-read. I think if you have a passing interest in Magneto, it's a must-read as well. It's a really, really solid limited series, and I have to say Marvel's been doing a really good job with their limited series lately. And that is it for my Marvels. But next up here are my Image. Now, as you all know, I've been really impressed with Image. I really like what they do. They have a lot of limited runs. They don't really call them limited runs. They just call them like 1 of 6 or whatever. At the same time, their ongoing series are always really solid. And I've said this many times as well, but I love the way they handle their books. Minimal, if any, advertisements, but they put a lot into the projects. The quality of the paper, the inks, the teams they put on here, they have full freedom to tell whatever story they want. It really comes across as everything I read from Image seems well loved. Now, a lot of the times they're not super timely, especially with Samurai's Blood here, with Shinku, and with Lady Mechanica. Those are books that I love, but they just don't come out very timely. 50 Girl 50 was kind of like that too. It had a point where it just slowed down, but it was a great series, and I think it's a must-read. Now, Samurai's Blood isn't exactly a must-read, but if you like samurai stories or you like anime-type storylines, I think it's great. I would strongly recommend it. This is the conclusion to the series, and it's an exercise issue, and they definitely put a lot in here, and it came to a conclusion that I thought was well met. Like, I had my feelings of what I thought they were going to end it with. Didn't exactly do that, but what they did, I do really like. There are a few surprises and a few things that you just wanted to happen that did. It's definitely a tragic tale, but it's a heroic tale too. Now, this is not like true history or anything. There are a lot of things in here that would never have really happened, but it's a comic book, and it's obviously it's a fiction story, so you don't expect it to be. With that said, if you want a really fun samurai story, I love Seven Samurai, right? Is that realistic? No. Would that really happen? No. Were samurais really nice, heroic guys? No. They were kind of jerks, but it doesn't matter. It's fun to just playing the romance of the feudal Japan and the samurai type stories that have become pop culture. So it's definitely a good samurai story. I enjoyed it, and it had a really great conclusion. That this last comic, they really put a lot into it. Extra pages, like I said, but they seem to put a lot more time into the wrapping up of the story, and just the artwork in general seems to have improved in the last couple issues. So a really good samurai story. Samurai's Blood comes with a good recommendation. And next up here is probably my favorite series from Image right now, and that is Scott Snyder's Severed number 5. Things have really gotten creepy in the creepy land of Scott Snyder's Severed. Here we're on issue number 5, and yeah, it's pretty chilling. This is definitely a really good horror story, and by the time this concludes, I have no doubt it'll be a classic, a modern classic of horror. This particular story has been really good from the beginning. The artwork has been handled well. The covers are great, and this is definitely Scott Snyder where he's most comfortable writing horror. This is probably the best issue so far, number 5. Great. And now I'd like to show you, if this will stay up, this is going to be questionable, it's decently dense, is a trade that I picked up. This is Bad Kids Go to Hell. It's a series that I heard about, heard a lot of really good things about it. Never picked it up, but when it came out here on trade, you know, I really just wanted to give it a try. Picked it up, read it. Fantastic. This is a really good trade. I think it's best to have been read in trade. I can see the series being good, but kind of like Morning Glories, I can see that being best read in trade back, getting each story all together and not having to wait. This seems to be the same type of story. Like, it's definitely best to read all at once. This is definitely a mature book, guys. It's not for kids. It has a lot of mature stuff going on, but the characters are really fleshed out. It's not a long story. It's probably an average story length. It's fully concluded. It's not an ongoing series at all. It's a complete storyline here. And the characters, you know, even though I probably would have liked it to be longer. With that said, though, I still got to know the characters. I really enjoyed the situations they were in. Some of them were just hilarious. Other ones were just horrific. So if you're looking for a offbeat, intense, hilarious, shocking, in a good way, comic book about teenagers in a messed up situation, this is definitely a good story to read. So this definitely comes with a strong recommendation, especially for trade. And with that said, those are my comics for last week. I'll be picking up new comics tomorrow, and I'll be reading them a lot quicker than I did last week. So I'll probably be having another posting, as well as I'll be posting my pick of the weeks here probably today or tomorrow. So with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.